All right, so listen to this. You guys send in this piece about 13 signs you might be about to hit a major life change, all from like a spiritual angle.
Interesting.
And we're going off excerpts from a video transcript. And what's crazy is how much of it like actually makes sense even if you're not super religious.
Yeah, it is kind of fascinating how so many different cultures have this whole idea of signs like the universe is, trying to tell us something,
Yeah.
like dropping hints,
Yeah.
whether you want to call it, divine guidance or just plain old intuition. People are always looking for those little clues, those breadcrumbs on their path.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one they talk about is this confirmation through the word thing.
Okay.
It basically says, like, if certain Bible verses keep popping up, it's a personal message from, well,
From above.
yeah, exactly. But isn't that kind of like when a song gets stuck in your head and then, like, suddenly you hear it everywhere?
Oh, totally. Yeah, psychologists call that confirmation bias. Our
Yeah.
brains just like to latch onto things that confirm what we're already thinking, even if it's just totally random.
Uh-huh.
So that verse about like courage, it might feel like a sign if you're already thinking about making a big change.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like, someone who's, like, thinking of quitting their job to become, I don't know, a musician, they might start seeing verses about using your talents, like,
Yeah.
everywhere they look.
Exactly. Yeah. Like their subconscious is like already buzzing with this whole idea. So it kind of filters how they see the world.
Right, right.
Yeah, the source material mentions David seeking guidance from God in 1 Samuel 23 before making decisions. But, even for people who aren't religious, that idea of pausing and reflecting, like really taking a moment before jumping into something new, that's key.
Oh, for sure. Okay, this next one's a little intense. Circumstances that force change.
Okay.
It's like when life throws you a curveball so hard that you have to, like, adapt. The example they use, are you ready for this? Jonah getting swallowed by a whale.
Oh, wow.
Talk about drastic measures, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty dramatic metaphor.
Right.
But there's actually this psychological concept called post-traumatic growth.
Really?
Yeah, essentially it's the idea that going through tough stuff can actually force us to like reassess our priorities and come out stronger on the other side.
Huh. Like a cosmic reset button.
Precisely.
Okay.
Yeah, so instead of it being like a punishment, it's more like maybe a really uncomfortable push in the right direction.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that stressful job might eventually lead you to a career you actually love.
Exactly.
It's not that the bad thing was, like, meant to be, but more about, like, how we react to those challenges and what we learn from them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, this next one is growing desire to serve. And it's giving me, like, major Esther vibes. Like, being called to do something bigger than yourself, even if you didn't, like, plan for it.
Think about it. Have you ever felt like inexplicably drawn to a certain cause?
Oh, yeah.
That's your empathy kicking in, It's like wired into us to want to contribute to something beyond just ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, the source material mentions Esther, but there are tons of, secular examples too, like people starting charities, volunteering, even just helping out a neighbor,
Right. It's like this itch you can't scratch until you do something about it.
Exactly.
The video also mentions Proverbs 11.14 about getting advice from wise people.
Good advice.
Even outside of faith, having people you trust to bounce ideas off of is, like, super valuable.
Absolutely. Whether it's mentors, friends, or even like online communities, getting
Yeah.
different perspectives helps us make sure we're not just, following a whim, but a genuine pull towards something meaningful.
I like that. Okay, this one is straight up exciting. Unexpected doors open.
Ooh, I like that one.
It's like those, meant to be moments where opportunity just kind of falls into your lap. But is it really fate? Or is it more about being ready when the right moment comes along?
Yeah, I think that's where serendipity meets, like preparedness.
Hmm.
Think of it like this. You've been working on a skill, daydreaming about a certain path.
Yeah.
And then, bam, the perfect job posting appears.
Wow.
It's not magic. It's that you were, ready to recognize and seize that chance.
So less about the universe handing us things and more about us being open and ready to, like, catch them.
Exactly.
The video mentions Paul's journey in Acts 16.9, where he changes course based on a vision.
Oh, right.
But even without the religious aspect, being flexible and open to new info is, like, essential.
Totally. The more we like explore different skills and interests, the more likely we are to spot those, lucky breaks and turn them into something amazing.
Oh, I love that. Okay, this next one is all about the feels. deep inner peace.
Ooh.
They use Philippians 4.7, which talks about peace that surpasses understanding. But isn't that basically just your gut feeling telling you, like, yeah, this feels right?
Yeah, it's like that quiet confidence, even when there's uncertainty.
Yeah.
We tend to overthink things, but sometimes the simplest answer is that deep sense of knowing, whether you call it intuition, a hunch, or, yeah, maybe even a message from something bigger.
Right. It's like when you're about to make a huge change, move cities, switch careers, whatever, and despite all the unknowns, you just have this calm certainty that it's the right move.
Exactly. Yeah, our subconscious often picks up on things we're not even aware of. That peace might be a sign that you've already weighed the pros and cons and, like, deep down, you've already made the decision.
So even if it's not, like, literally a message from above, that inner peace is still a pretty powerful compass.
Absolutely. It's about trusting yourself, your instincts, and maybe even that little voice that speaks to you in those quiet moments.
I like that. All right, let's be real for a sec. We all hit rough patches.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But sign number 6 is spiritual growth through challenges. And it's saying those struggles actually make us stronger in our faith. They use the example of Peter denying Christ.
Yeah.
Talk about a low point, right?
Yeah.
But whether you see it through a religious lens or not, resilience is like a core human trait.
For sure.
The idea is that facing adversity forces us to dig deep, reevaluate, and adapt.
Yeah, it's less about the challenge itself and more about how we choose to respond to it.
So instead of seeing it as punishment, it's more like a cosmic boot camp.
Exactly.
Pushing us to grow.
Yeah,
The video uses a biblical example, but it really applies to everyone.
I agree.
Like, think of someone going through a financial crisis. They might come out of it with better money management skills, a new appreciation for what they have, or even a completely different career path.
Right, exactly.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
But it takes conscious effort to actually turn those struggles into something positive.
Right. It's about reframing those hardships as opportunities for growth.
Right.
You know, it's not about seeking out suffering, but learning to find the lessons hidden within those inevitable bumps in the road.
I like that. All right, this next one is pretty interesting. Dreams and visions. The source material is talking about them as like messages, and they even bring up Joseph's prophetic dreams from the book of Genesis.
Oh, right.
But even if you're not really into prophecy, dreams can be kind of freaky sometimes, right?
Yeah, totally. Even if you're a skeptic, you can't deny that dreams tap into something, powerful. It's like our subconscious mind working through stuff we haven't really dealt with yet. It's like, I think of it as your brain sending you cryptic emails.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So like if someone's always dreaming about being lost, maybe it's not about literally being lost, but feeling lost in their, waking life.
Yeah, exactly. The video gives that example of someone dreaming about a new work environment.
Right.
And it could be a sign they're like craving a career change, even if they haven't really admitted it to themselves yet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not about taking dreams literally, but more about looking for the underlying emotion or theme they're like highlighting.
Huh. Makes you wonder if those dream dictionaries are actually onto something.
Right. There's like a whole field of dream interpretation, both in psychology and spirituality.
Yeah.
And whether you, believe in the symbolism or not, paying attention to those recurring dreams can definitely give you some insight into what's going on beneath the surface.
Okay. Sign number 8 is wise and agreeing counsel, which basically means like you don't have to figure everything out on your own.
True.
They mentioned Proverbs 11.14 again, but it's actually solid advice even outside of faith, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. We humans, we're social creatures.
Yeah.
We're wired to seek input from others, especially when we're facing big decisions.
Right.
It's like crowdsourcing wisdom, Getting different perspectives helps us avoid that tunnel vision and make more well-rounded choices.
The video uses the example of someone deciding about seminary and getting encouragement from their community.
Yeah.
But even if it's not something like that serious, having a group of people you trust to bounce ideas off of is super valuable.
Totally. It's about finding those people who really know you well, who are honest but also supportive, and who have your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
It's not about, blindly following what other people say, but using their insights to, refine your own thinking.
Makes sense.
No.
Okay, so this next one is kind of the opposite of that inner peace thing we were talking about before.
Okay.
It's loss of peace in current circumstances. They use the example of Moses leaving Egypt, which was a huge turning point, obviously.
Yeah, a big one.
But what if it's not? Like, that epic.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
Right.
The sign is more about that nagging feeling that something's just, not right anymore.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You might be successful on the outside, but there's this, inner restlessness that just won't go away. Think of it like your soul sending you a memo.
I like that.
Yeah.
So like someone who's stuck in a job they hate,
Yeah.
even if it pays well.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Their mind might be coming up with all these reasons to stay, but their gut is screaming, "Gaya, keep out."
Exactly. We tend to ignore those signals because, change is scary.
Yeah.
But sometimes that lack of peace is a sign that we're, outgrowing a situation. The discomfort is kind of a catalyst,
Right.
pushing us to actually make a change.
Because almost like that discomfort is there to protect us, to steer us towards something that's a better fit for who we really are.
Exactly. It's about trusting that inner compass, even when logic and practicality are telling us to do something else.
Right.
Sometimes taking a leap of faith, even a small one, can lead us to a much more fulfilling path.
That's a good point. Speaking of patterns, the next sign is all about that. Repetition of a theme.
Okay.
So if certain ideas keep popping up, the video says it could be a message, from above. They even use the example of God speaking to Samuel.
Right.
But couldn't it just be our brain making connections,
Yeah.
Like recognizing patterns.
Oh, absolutely. Humans are wired to spot patterns.
Yeah.
It's how we learn and make sense of the world. So if you keep seeing the same concept over and over, whether it's in conversations, books, or even just, random observations,
Yeah.
your brain's basically highlighting it, saying, hey, this is important.
It's like when you learn a new word and then suddenly you hear it everywhere.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was always there, but now you're primed to notice it.
Right. So that recurring theme, it might not be a, divine message, but it could be your subconscious mind kind of nudging you towards something that's relevant to your journey right now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, maybe it's a skill you need to develop, a problem you need to address, or even just a new perspective you need to consider.
The video talks about someone thinking about missionary work and then seeing service themes everywhere.
Yeah.
But that could just be their mind focusing on what's already important to them. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's less about where the theme is coming from and more about why it's, resonating with you so strongly.
Right.
It's an invitation to, explore that theme further, to see what it might reveal about yourself and your path.
Okay, I like that. This next sign is opportunities to apply new skills. It's about those aha moments when you realize you have talents you never even knew about.
Yeah, I love this one. It reminds us that we're always evolving,
Right.
You might think you know your limits, but then life throws you a curveball, and all of a sudden you're excelling at something you never expected.
The video uses the example of someone becoming a Christian writer after realizing they're a natural storyteller.
Oh, cool.
But it applies to anything, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Like maybe get thrown into a leadership position at work and then realize, hey, I'm actually a pretty good manager.
Right. It's about being open to those challenges and seeing them as opportunities to stretch your abilities.
Yeah.
Sometimes those hidden talents are just waiting for the right moment to come out.
And who knows, maybe those newfound skills will lead you to a whole new passion or even a completely different career.
It's exciting to think that we can always surprise ourselves,
Totally. It's about embracing that growth mindset
Yes.
and seeing every experience as a chance to learn and expand our potential.
Who knows what amazing things we might discover about ourselves along the way, right?
Now, this next one brings in prayer. Increase in prayer burden.
Oh.
Basically, if you're feeling called to pray for a specific person or situation, it could mean you're meant to be more involved somehow.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, it taps into that whole idea of empathy and compassion.
For sure.
Even if you're not religious, feeling a strong urge to help someone is a, deeply human response.
Yeah, it shows that you're connected to something bigger than yourself.
The video gives the example of someone feeling compelled to pray for a social cause.
Right.
And then taking action. But couldn't that just be your conscience kicking in, prompting you to do something about a problem that's bothering you?
Oh, absolutely. It's that sense of responsibility,
Yeah.
That feeling that you can't just sit there and do nothing. Whether you call it a prayer burden or just a moral obligation,
Right.
it's about recognizing that we all have a role to play in making the world a better place.
So it's less about actually praying and more about that inner drive to, contribute, to make a difference somehow.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that well of compassion within ourselves and then channeling it into, meaningful action.
Okay, and finally we have feeling of sacred restlessness.
Ooh, I like that.
It's that inner turmoil that kind of drives us to act, even when it's uncomfortable.
Hmm.
The video mentions Nehemiah rebuilding Jerusalem.
Oh, right.
But what if it's not, that grand?
Well, this sign is about that feeling that something needs to change,
Right.
that you're meant for something more. Even if you can't quite put your finger on it,
Hmm.
it's like a fire burning inside you,
Yeah.
pushing you to break free from the status quo and go after your true calling.
So it's not just everyday boredom or, dissatisfaction.
No, it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's more like a moral imperative to act.
The video uses a religious example,
Yeah,
but it's actually a pretty universal experience.
totally. Think about activists fighting for social justice, entrepreneurs shaking up industries, artists challenging conventions.
Yeah.
They're all driven by that sacred restlessness.
So it might not always be comfortable, but it's a powerful force for positive change.
Absolutely. Both in our own lives and in the world around us.
It's about recognizing that sometimes the most uncomfortable path is the one that leads to the most fulfilling destination.
Well said.
Yeah. For me, it's that deep inner peace one. It really stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's like, amidst all the crazy stuff going on,
Yeah.
there's that quiet space inside us that just knows.
Right.
It's a powerful feeling. And I think it's something we should all, try to tap into more.
It's like that internal compass
Oh,
guiding us even when everything feels chaotic on the outside.
totally.
And you know what's interesting about this whole deep dive? It's not just about interpreting these signs.
Right.
It's about actually applying them to your life.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
So you listening right now,
Yeah.
which ones really resonated with you?
Yeah. Are you seeing any of these patterns in your own life?
Yeah, maybe you're seeing a theme over and over,
Mm.
or feeling that that sacred restlessness we talked about.
Right. Like you're meant for something more.
Exactly.
Or maybe a door's open that you didn't even notice before.
Maybe you're trying to make a decision,
Yeah.
and one option just brings this wave of peace,
Hmm.
even though there are still unknowns. The cool thing is there's no, right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's totally unique to your journey.
That's so true.
Yeah.
The source material didn't really get into this, but what if some of these signs, contradict each other?
Oh,
What if you're feeling that inner peace,
yeah.
but also, a loss of peace in your current situation? Isn't that kind of a paradox?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It really shows how complex we are as humans,
Yeah.
We rarely have all the answers just laid out neatly. Sometimes it's about holding both of those seemingly opposite feelings at the same time.
So it's like that peace is about the bigger picture, even if things feel kind of shaky right now.
Exactly. It's about trusting the process, even when it's uncomfortable.
Okay.
And remember, this isn't about forcing change or rushing into anything.
Right.
It's about paying attention to those little whispers, those nudges that are guiding you towards your true path.
I love that. What would you say to someone listening who's totally overwhelmed by all this? Okay, there are 13 signs. I relate to half of them. Now what?
I'd say first, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
You don't need to have it all figured out right this second.
Right.
Start by journaling about the signs that really spoke to you. Talk to friends or mentors you trust.
Yeah.
Maybe they're seeing patterns you haven't noticed yet.
It's about turning this information into action,
Exactly.
even if it's just baby steps.
Yeah. Maybe it's trying a new skill, having a tough conversation,
Right.
or even just letting yourself dream bigger.
Yeah, give yourself permission.
These signs are really just invitations to explore, to follow your curiosity and see where it leads.
And it's a journey, not a destination. Right.
Exactly.
There's no finish line.
Oh.
It's about constantly growing, evolving,
Yeah.
becoming who you're meant to be.
As we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I have one last thought-provoking question.
I like it already.
What if these signs aren't just about, individual growth? What if they're about something even bigger, like a collective shift?
Ooh, I like that.
We're all part of something much larger.
Right.
And these signs are invitations to, step into our roles in this grand unfolding.
Yeah, we're all being called to step up, embrace our potential,
Exactly.
and create a future that's more aligned with our values.
Compassion, purpose, connection.
Yeah,
It's something to think about as you continue on your journey.
I love that. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
It was my pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.